Hi, I'm Ed Bacon, the rector of All Saints Church, Pasadena. Whoever you are and wherever you find yourself on the journey of faith, I hope that you'll find something here that speaks to you. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am excited to say that I'm excited for many reasons. First, that y'all are here and that Diane Donahue is here. And also, I got an email this past week from somebody who streams All Saints worship and Rector's Forums from Kabul. And I'm not talking about Kabul, Texas. So I feel even more like welcoming all of our brothers and sisters who are streaming, whether they're streaming from Texas or Afghanistan or wherever. It's very exciting this morning to welcome this wonderful human being. In 1989, Sister Diane, then a community organizer for St. Vincent's Church in South Central Los Angeles, was approached by a woman who was dying of cancer. For 30 years, the woman's family had rented the same home, and she wanted to die peacefully in the home where she had raised her children, but her family was facing the threat of eviction. Soon, other residents approached Sister Diane, concerned that their homes would also be destroyed for the construction of low-wage garment factories. So working with the community, Sister Diane created Esperanza so that low-income residents would have decent housing and the ability to shape the future of their neighborhood. Diane Donahue moved to L.A. with her family in 1935. In 1955, Diane entered the Sisters of Social Service. In 1969, she received a Master of Social Work degree from the University of California at Berkeley. She went on to work as the director of a residential treatment center for adolescents with mental health issues in Sacramento, and then as the co-sponsor director of a residential center for heroin-addicted women in South Central Los Angeles. Following a year of sabbatical studies at the University of California at Berkeley's Graduate Theological Union, Sister Diane became the community organizer for St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church in South Central Los Angeles in 1985. 4 years later, as members of her community faced threats of eviction, Sister Diane founded Esperanza. Esperanza's first project was Villa Esperanza Apartments, 33 units of affordable housing for large families, a community center, and an on-site Head Start program. In 2006, Sister Diane retired from Esperanza. She's currently working with the Development Department of the Sisters of Social Service and is a member of the strategy team of the Figueroa Corridor Coalition for Economic Justice. She's received many awards and accolades for her work, including the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Southern California Association of Nonprofit Housing, the UCLA Alumni Award for Community Service, the 2007 UCLA Alumnus of the Year Award, the Empowerment Award for the Los Angeles Archdiocese, an honorary doctorate from Occidental College, and the 2002 National Courage and Community Award from the Macaulay Institute. 18 years ago, when I moved to LA, I met Sister Diane. She and I were just kids then, and I knew her as a force of nature. I'm so happy to introduce to you a friend of All Saints, a friend of those who are poor, homeless, marginalized, but most especially and most importantly, a friend of Jesus. Please welcome Sister Diane Donahue.
Well, this is amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. This is just terrific. I noted that one of the words that they used in terms of announcing that I'd be here today was that I was notorious. And I thought, well, that's a possibility. But I'd like to think of more contemporary, con with tempore, timely. And so I think I am a person of the times, with the times. And that to me is something that I want to be able to stand for and with. And so I welcome the notorious, but I'm thinking about I just got off the bus last week. So I was on from Orlando, Florida, then to Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas. And I got off last Sunday in San Antonio, Texas. So that was just an incredible experience. And then last year, I was on for the whole time. So that was in the Midwest states before the election, and the focus there was the Ryan budget, and we had an alternative, the faithful budget. This year, it's 3 weeks, 6,500 miles, 15 states, 40 stops, and 53 events. So that is a real schedule. And they were at the Mercado La Paloma last Friday night, and I wanted to get off the bus so I could get ready for them. And then yesterday morning at South Central Lamp, and now on their way to Bakersfield, San Joaquin Valley. They're stopping at 40 Acres, which is Cesar Chavez's place in Delano, and then up the valley and into San Francisco and Angel Island, which is on the East Coast, Ellis Island, West Coast, Angel Island, but points of immigration. And that is just really a remarkable, remarkable journey. One of the things that I just was so pleased about was when we were in Texas, Austin, Texas. We've had a number of bishops who've welcomed us, which is terrific. And so Bishop Joe Vasquez, who's the bishop in Austin, said he'd like to welcome us with the understanding of the Texas two-step. And that's kind of a little dance in a dance. But more to the point, he said, the sisters and the bishops are on the same page, and that's the Texas two-step. And I think that's okay, because I think there's lots of examples of Texas two-step, and certainly one of the most recent ones was Pope Francis and the Archbishop Justin Welby coming together, again, kind of like a Texas two-step, on the same page. So that was terrific. And I think the whole idea of coming together for justice, so that we're not Democrats and Republicans, we're not innies and outies, we're not Congress people and no people. We are we people, and we're coming together in union with something that is extremely important, namely comprehensive immigration reform now. And we have such a short place and space in terms of when this has to happen. By the July 4th break in Congress, the Senate hopes to have more than 60 votes, aiming for 70, when it goes over to the House, and then from the House, a conference committee, and to be finished before the fall break. That's a huge, absolutely profound kind of goal. And we think we absolutely can do it. And because we are able, with the kind of support, the whole tenor and thinking of our country is changing. People are saying immigrants are the means to economic prosperity. Immigrants make the difference. 1 in 4 small businesses in the United States are started by immigrants. They come, they want to work, they're committed, and they know what it means to be in a country that has the freedom, the opportunity, and the possibility for their children. And that is the commitment. And so because of that, we really believe that this is a possibility. Do you have your postcards? Okay. This is one of the things that we have done in every single place that we've been. This is a wonderful two-part postcard. You have to bend it a little bit because we didn't have the money to pay for the perforation. So you have to tear it carefully. But that's okay, because what I want you to do is to fill this out with your name and your address and your email, and this is going to your congresspersons and your senators. Our senators do not need convincing. Boxer and Feinstein are absolutely with us, but they get so much mail and so much opposition, and people we just sort of take it for granted that they're going to come through for us. So if you write a short message on here, I'm going to take all these postcards, the bottom part, so I'm going to ask you to tear it, and I'm going to FedEx them to D.C. because they're going to have what they call a tsunami event of postcards, and they're going to Congress and to the Senate showing all of these postcards. And it is an indication of support. And we absolutely have 500,000 postcards that are going to be presented. That's incredible. But what Congress has to know is that, in fact, we the people are speaking, and they have to understand that. So that's the first thing. The top part is for your missionary work, and you folks are incredible in terms of the missionary work that you do. And I went to all the tables this morning and just took a look because of the kind of outreach, the kinds of things you stand for. You are so with it, which is just amazing. So when you're standing in line at Vaughn's or Alpha Beta or Ralph's or wherever, talk to the person next to you standing in line. What do you think about immigration reform? Have you thought about that? Talk to your family. And so there's going to be extra cards if you want to take them with you to try and get more people to sign. But this is really, really important. And then the last thing on here has to do with texting. And if you text with a smartphone, 877-877, and then where you put in like a password, you write Nuns. And then it comes back and you get a little voice saying, we want to make sure that you're real. So you fill in your email, and then you hear a voice from Simone Campbell, who's the director of Network, and you are then connected immediately to the Senate office and the congressional office. It's terrific. And so texting makes a huge difference. It's the virtual world in which we live. And so 877-877 Nuns. And it's just magic. So I want to make sure that you do that. And just to understand that for us, the message that we have is we the people. We are not we the folks who got here first, we the folks who run the Chamber of Commerce, we the folks who control big corporations. The message is we the people. That's us. And I think to quote Ed, I am, we are. And that's what we're talking about. We are. We are the people supporting immediate, comprehensive immigration reform now. Now, I'm going to do this, and most of the time, there's at least 6 of us doing this, and I'm going to try and do this all by myself, but it works. So at the end of our meeting, we stand up and we say, we have a little exercise, and we'd like to have you join us. So raise your hands, raise your voice for comprehensive immigration reform now. Okay, now, you just heard my voice, but I want to hear yours. So let's try it one more time. Raise your hands, raise your voice for comprehensive immigration reform now. Terrific. Okay. So we have a great time doing that, and with a lot of animation. So I just want you to know that that's the message. That's why I'm here. I'm pleased that we were able to share the message. And if you have questions or comments, I'll be pleased to take that.
Great. Before we start, let me just say thank you very much. I forgot to say, if you're visiting with us, we have red welcome bags over here that tell you everything about All Saints. But most importantly, related to the action that Sister Diane has just led us in.
Yeah.
And please, let me reemphasize how important it is for you to take cards and you become an evangelist for this and you get other people to fill out cards. We also have a letter that I wrote to President Obama that asking him to stop deporting people until we've made this decision about comprehensive immigration reform. So please sign on to my letter to the White House today before you leave. Now, we have questions. There's right there in the back. Right, that's fine. And then let me get a mic to somebody over here. Raise your hand so you're ready to go. Number 2. Please go ahead. Dorothy? Dorothy?
Yes, thank you. Would you please go into a little more detail describing your journey, the responses that you received, both positive and perhaps a few negative?
The journey started in New Haven, Connecticut. And for the East Coast, to come down the East Coast and stop at Liberty Island, and Ellis Island was just wrecked in the last tornado, Sandy. So because of that, they couldn't go over to Ellis Island, but you could see it. And then down into Florida and the southern states, Texas, and then up California. So it's down the East Coast, all along the southern border, and up. It's a rigorous trip. We have a bus, and of course the picture's on here. It's a wrapped bus. Politicians and rock stars use wrapped buses, and now we have a new category called Nuns on the bus. But that's a part of it. We would start in the morning. We would gather for prayer at 6 a.m. We would be on and breakfast and be on the bus by 8 o'clock. And at usually our first event, we tried to do at least 4 kinds of events a day. But the distance in terms of Texas and the amount of mileage we were covering was incredible. But it was to go to a ministry that is run by sisters, usually a ministry that is for people at the margins. Then we would have a press event either with an editorial board or just a press conference. And then we would go to visit a congressional district office. Most of the time, those were Republicans, and we would talk to them. That's where we got probably the most backlash was with Republicans, but there were some Democrats in there too. But we tailored our stops with key votes. One of the most important votes that we stopped with was Senator Rubio in Florida. Now, he's not there, but his chief of staff and all of the people. And then we would have people that were local that would come in and say, we support. So when we would roll in, there'd be the big signs, welcome sisters, welcome nuns on the bus. We support immigration reform. So all that Senator Rubio's staff had to do was look out, see the kind of support, and understand this is a key issue. And he not only is part of, quote, the Gang of Eight, he was responsible for the writing. Now he has to be taking leadership position to pass it. And so that's our message. And then in the evening, we had what we called friend raisers, not fund raiser, a friend raiser. And that was just a marvelous opportunity to talk with people and to tell them our experiences and listen deeply to the concerns they had. Most of the time, it would be, we would have a lot of support, but we would always could count on people asking questions about border security. That was the big one. And especially in the South and in Texas, they are saying the importance of border security. And we said, we have spent in the last 8 years $160 billion on border security. So it is possible that we have really secured our borders. But that's always the big question. And so that was what a typical day would look like. And it was the ups and downs. And then we'd have sisters getting on and off the bus. So there were 40 sisters in all. Only 3 are on for the full time. And otherwise, I was on for a week. And when I got off, 4 other sisters got on. So it kind of works like that. It's a marvelous experience because we get to know one another and you form community very quickly. First of all, it's a little crowded. But it works. And so the bus has a TV, a bathroom, a kitchen, and plugs for computers and Wi-Fi. So when we are on the bus, we're on our phones and computers, and you can't see out except if you ride up in the front shotgun, then you can see out. But otherwise, it's totally wrapped. So we missed the beautiful country, but that's the price of having people honk at us on the bus as they're going down the freeway. You get all these honks. So we know the message, the messenger and the message are very complete.
I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. I have a little bit of an in-the-weeds question. I heard a really disappointing comment from Marco Rubio. I heard it yesterday. It's probably less than a couple of days old.
Yeah.
He said that, I forget his exact words, but he was done or he was off of this immigration push if it applied to same-sex couples. And the quote that I heard was pretty adamant. And I wanted to know 2 things. One, is that real or is it blustering? And then the second thing is, does it matter that he feels that way, and can this succeed without him?
It can succeed. It is a small group. It got out of the Senate committee to the full Senate discussion by one of the senators taking his support for gay marriage, and he withdrew that support. It wasn't Rubio. It is a small group. It's not the biggest argument is on border security and the E-Verify, which has to do with driver's license. And those are the two biggest contentions against the passage of the bill. The gay marriage is very small, but what it has to do is being able to immigrate your family. And in the current law, you are able to do that. But if it is a gay relationship, at this point, they're saying no. So, and it just depends on who picks that up, how big the story is. But overall, the biggest resistance is border and E-Verify. And those are the ones that have the loudest voices.
Yes, I was wondering what your response was to some of the things that they apparently had to put in the bill in order to get even as much support as they did within Congress, which include pretty stiff fines and penalties and back taxes and so forth. And I'm obviously concerned about what that's going to do to poor Latinos who are here.
My biggest concern is the fact that they are not eligible for health care and will not be. And Barbara Boxer has an amendment in now to try and get them included on health care. But it is a 13-year passage to citizenship that includes going in back of the line, paying fines and or back taxes, being conversant in English, and being ready to take on responsibilities in terms of working and going through E-Verify. Those are the things, and that's 13 years. And when we talk to families, and we've talked to many families and many students who get deferred action, which means they are the dreamers who can go to school, get a work permit, a driver's license, and have an opportunity for deferred action for at least 2 years. Now, the big concern has to do with the fact that it takes so long, 13 years. And what we have heard from the families who are most affected is they're willing to wait that long. And the reason is it means that ultimately they will make it. They ultimately will be citizens. And so they're saying, we want to be in line and we'll do whatever it takes. And so we're working with that idea and with the understanding that we can do the amendments over a period of time. Once we get immigration reform bill that is not amnesty but is a pathway to citizenship, that's our goal. When we get that, then we'll work on the rest of the issues. And healthcare, I mean, germs do not have borders. And to say that people are not eligible for health care is crazy. But we'll work on it. So that's where it is.
Thank you for coming and for your wonderful work. Would you tell me what reaction the church hierarchy in the Vatican have had to your efforts?
We want some juice here, Diane.
Yeah, well, this, first of all, they don't usually comment in the same way to the specifics. What we take as commendation or comment is the fact that we and the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops are in support of immigration reform now. We're on the same page. And Pope Francis has been talking about the fact we are all one community. his message is so strong. So, and he has met with the major superiors of women's communities in Rome, commending them for the work they do. So we see it as, he's got a lot of things on his plate. And from my point of view, the Vatican Bank is a much bigger deal than Nuns on the Bus.
In your opinion, is there anything in any of the proposals that are being put forward that worsens the condition of the immigrants who are here currently illegally?
The fine points in terms of the amendments is beyond my expertise to make the. What we do know and are supporting is the current legislation now that is a pathway to citizenship. That's the highest good. That's the one. We don't like the fact that healthcare isn't included. We are concerned about some of the stuff with regard to border security. But we can live with it. We can live with it because ultimately 11 million people are going to be legalized. In California, 1 out of 4 of those without documents live in California. That's 2,575,000. That's why we have to care. And think of how here in California we depend on the farm workers, the guest workers coming in. That's not the best it isn't the best answer, but it is a better answer than making people live the way they do in fear and in the shadows and with no hope. So that's why we say, let's go for it, make it happen, and then we will keep on being very intentional about improving this law.
I'm going to represent the questions on this side.
Yeah.
Diane, can you testify a little bit? What about you and your Christianity attracts you to the Nuns on the Bus movement? Can't hear you. She'll repeat it. She's going to repeat it.
Why am I on the bus? To work for justice, to love tenderly, and to walk humbly with our God is the quote from Micah. It's one that means a great deal to me. My degree in social work from Berkeley, 1967 to 1969, is in community organizing. When I got that degree, nobody knew what community organizing was, but I did, and I have been committed to working for systemic change based on gospel. You did it to the least, you do it to me. When you clothe the naked, when you feed the hungry, when you give shelter to the least of these, you give it to me. That's why I'm on the bus. That's why I'm a sister of social service. That's why I committed my life to this. And every day I say, thank you for calling my name.
Time for a couple more questions. I am interested, just the nuns snore on the bus?
We don't sleep on the bus.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No,
I thought you might nap or something.
we do.
Oh, yeah.
No, the bus, we stay in mother houses, convents, and when we have to, hotels. But it's, and the best part is going to mother houses, often when that will be the place where retired sisters are. And so to see the range and for them to know that what they stand for and continue to pray for and support is absolutely being acted out daily and with the kind of program we have. So the best part is when we can go to a convent.
Elizabeth.
I heard figures that were just astonishing. If this bill passed, how much it would add to our economy. And it was enormous sum. Unfortunately, I don't remember it.
I can do some of it.
Does anybody here?
I do. Right now, there are 300,000 undocumented families who are ready to invest in a home and make a permanent down payment and have a mortgage for a home. Can you imagine what 300,000 would do in terms of the billions of dollars adding to the economy? It's 500 billion added to the economy. One of the most important things was from the Wall Street Journal, who talked about the fact that people without papers becoming legal began to contribute to the Social Security and to Medicare. This is as the baby boomers are taking all the money out. All the money is coming in from those who average age 34 will be paying from 34 to 65 into Social Security and into Medicare. Those are huge numbers. And because of that, we absolutely are a positive force for challenging the national debt. And so many people are saying Medicare is going to be out of money, Social Security is going to be out of money. Not so. The income is genuine and it's substantial.
Yes, please.
Diane, I wonder, there's so much being said, especially by Republicans, about the border security and trying to get a trigger related to border security. Could you say something about the numbers of people that are in the country without papers who did not come, via the southern border? They did not come, walking or taking buses across the southern border. I heard recently that it's quite a large number.
It is. It is. People overstay their visas. They come in through Canada. They come in on education visas, traveling tourists, and they overstay. And that's one of the things that is in the legislation is it's part of the E-Verify, which has to do with you keep track of people coming in, but then you also keep track of when their visas expire, which we haven't been doing ever. Now they would keep track of visas, and you would have to then, you would be subject to deportation, which is horrible, because you understand why people are coming. The numbers, it is 40% of people coming in are coming because they came legally with visas. 40% is high, and that's what it is. Yeah.
Diane, I wanted to know how this 3-week bus trip is paid for. It seems to me to be pretty expensive.
It is. And we have donations that people make. We've had a number of foundations. We've had a large group of supporters of people over a period of time making contributions. And if you go online to nunsonthebus.org or network.org. Network is the Catholic Social Justice Lobby, 41 years old, located in Washington, D.C., that was founded by 5 groups of sisters 41 years ago after the Vatican Council. And Simone, as a lawyer, had her own poverty law center in Oakland for 18 years and has been director of Network for the last 8 years. And she's the one who came up with the idea and went to a group. There's a group in D.C. called the Tuesday Table, and it's very progressive people. And they came together when Network and the Leadership Conference of Women Religious got named by the Vatican as being radical feminists. That's a very good term, radical, as in rooted. And so we're very pleased to be called radical feminists. But if that's how the first bus was $180,000. That's what it cost. This one, I'm not sure, and I don't want to quote, but it's much bigger. And it has to do, and we were able to cover the expenses. When they started out, they were not all covered. By the time we get to San Francisco, they'll be covered. But it has to be, it can't come out of the network budget. It's got to be outside. Es tiempo?
Yes, es tiempo. Now, before we thank Diane, let me just repeat, this is my theology, that you haven't worshiped until you go to the table and give thanks there and put your life on the altar and all that kind of stuff, and put your faith into action. So it's so very important today for you to fill out these cards and to sign my letter to President Obama. And Christina's going to tell you how we're going to deal with the cards right now.
Oh, good.
So if you've already filled out your card, you can bring it up here when we're done. Sister Diane wants to go to the 11:15. So the other option is to fill it out, take it to the office, and I'll make sure that they're given to her at the end of the service. She wants to FedEx these off tomorrow, though. So really important that you fill them out today. Either bring them up here or stop in the church office. The receptionist has no idea we're planning this, so if she seems alarmed, just tell her that Christina said, and drop them there.
Thank you, sister.